Hey folks, my name is Bruce, and this is my series, Film Illustrated. Everything Everywhere All at Once is an incredible miracle of a movie. As self-described maximalist filmmakers, the Daniels have packed so much into this film, it boggles the mind at how it all coheres together. Yet, it's a beautiful, hilarious, and at times, devastating experience. It wears its emotions on its sleeves, knows exactly what it wants to be, and does so unabashedly. It's able to juggle themes like depression and existentialism with care, but also in unexpected and hilarious ways. It's doing all this while being a science fiction kung fu comedy, with the emotional core rooted in a generational trauma of a first-generation Chinese immigrant family. Just think about those words that came out of my mouth. It's ridiculous. Yet, it all works, and as a first-generation immigrant, it was a wonderful wallop of a film. One of the more iconic scenes in the movie is just one of still shots of rocks and text on screen. I'm sure I'm not the only one who gets stuck in a 20,000-foot view of the world. Especially now, it's hard not to feel powerless with a sense of existential dread. Seeing that dread and hopelessness reflected back in such a simple and hilarious ways was such a delightful surprise. The heart of this scene and many others with Jobu Tupaki isn't really the meaninglessness of it all, but it's the despair and subsequent depression that follows. Her whole character is a way to comment on this. Her bright and brilliant costume and her boisterous behavior are spectacular ways to illustrate the masks people put up. I feel it can be easily read as a comment on why people lose their loved ones to suicide without even knowing something was wrong. The whole reason why Jobu is looking for Evelyn is that before she feeds herself to the black hole, she wants to find a version of her mother to see
what I see. Feel what I feel.
And maybe even talk her out of killing herself. When Evelyn finally sees Jobu and the road of despair she's been down, she realizes that's the same road she's sending Joy down as well. The film juxtaposes the meaninglessness of existence with one of the most intimate relationships any person could have. And it proposes the solution to something as grand as that is in the micro, in the relationships we have with each other. In a life filled with struggles, failures, and relentless mundanity, if you're lucky, what we live for are those moments of peace and bliss with each other. In these moments, hopefully we're present enough to notice it and take it all in. Without that, there would be no point at all. Existentialism aside, the film also shows immigrant life from a perspective so rarely seen. The stories we're told and often celebrate are ones of immigrants coming to another country for a better opportunity and ultimately succeeding through grit and hard work. These stories will show you how hard it is, but undoubtedly, the struggle is worth it and that leaving everything to move to this new country is ultimately the right choice. Everything Everywhere All at Once not only questions that narrative, it frames it as a failure. Through years of struggle in this new country, not only is Evelyn not successful, the system is actively stripping her of her livelihood and opportunities. While this is happening, her life is also slowly falling apart. In this immigrant story, she's not living her dream.
I've always hated this place.
She despises her laundromat and hates the life she leads. Not only does she question the decisions that led her here, she also got to see all the other lives she could have lived and how happy and successful she could have been. This notion of uncertainty is crucial in almost every immigrant story, but so rarely shown or let alone focused on. By framing Evelyn's immigrant story like this, it goes a long way to show what immigrant parents had to sacrifice and give up. As someone who immigrated when I was 10, this certainly helped me recontextualize my parents' immigrant story as well. I also want to take a closer look at the portrayal of Evelyn in the film.
You have to try and eat healthier. You are getting fat.
She's a middle-aged Asian woman, which is already something of a rarity as a protagonist, and she's not made out to be glamorous or desirable. In fact, she's kind of an unlikable mess. Not only have I never seen a character like this in a leading role, specifically in North American films, what's striking is that in a story about generational trauma, they're often the villains. Michelle Yeoh was literally in that role in Crazy Rich Asians.
You will never be enough.
But here, she's up front and center, and we're meant to understand and empathize with her character. Evelyn is someone wound up so tight that she can't let anything go, and so controlling that she alienates and hurts the people around her. The stereotype of controlling Asian parents come from somewhere, but they only ever touch the surface. whereas Everything Everywhere All at Once gets at the core of it. Life as a first-generation immigrant can be such a struggle that it can feel like if you don't fight for everything you have, or if you let go of control even just a little bit, things could potentially spin apart or be taken from you. And at times, you're fighting so hard to keep everything afloat that you're blinded to the fact that your loved ones are slowly drifting away. The movie doesn't just convey this through exposition, it shows us Evelyn's struggles, her failures, and how she reconciles with them through Waymond. It's not till fairly recently that more movies are being financed and made with Asian actors in leading roles. There's still plenty of room for improvement there, so being able to see myself reflected on screen as an Asian Canadian is still somewhat of a rarity. But Everything Everywhere All at Once took it one step further and made someone that could have been my mom or my aunt the main character of the film. Instead of relegating people of this demographic to stereotypes, it gave them their full breadth of emotions and allowed them to be funny, warm, vulnerable, and also badasses on screen. I just wanted to take the time to point this out because it's so special and goddamn remarkable. Let's talk about Waymond and the message of kindness. He's low-key the MVP of the film. Without him, Evelyn would have never reached the understanding and compassion inside herself. While the primary conflict in the movie is between Evelyn and Jobu Tupaki, the real antithesis to Jobu is actually Waymond. Similar to Jobu, who infects others with her despair, Waymond does so with kindness and empathy. We see him do this even when people are actively trying to harm him, and that kindness is ultimately reciprocated. We see this with Deirdre, who extends the kindness back by postponing the audit.
一切都会好起来的。他会再给我们多1个礼拜。
How?
I don't know. I just talked to her.
Waymond, of course, has this effect on Evelyn as well, and we can see her extend this kindness in the hilarious lobby sequence. Here, in the form of an action set piece, Evelyn overcomes her adversaries by fixing one of their necks via chiropractic, or satisfying another's BDSM desires. She also verse jumps between Hot Dog Fingerverse, Rakakuniverse, and various others to mend their pain through kindness and love. The whole sequence is absurd and play for laughs on the surface, but at the heart of it, to paraphrase critic Walter Chaw, it asks, what if we empathized and understood people we're in conflict with, or feel injured by? Instead of verbally and physically combating them, what if we understood their hurt and what's missing from them? This is the emotional core of the whole film, kindness, and that we should endeavor to spread it, particularly in times that are difficult to do so. Without Waymond championing and propagating it, Evelyn would have never been able to reach out to Jobu Tupaki, and in turn, her joy as well. Rarely has a movie been so fitting of its title. Everything Everywhere All at Once is packed to the brim with ideas, themes, and action, yet it also defies the odds of being an incoherent mess. Even though the story with the grandfather wraps up too neatly, the expectations and pressures passed from generation to generation all feel familiar and truthful. All the serious and absurd parts complement each other and form a genuine version of generational trauma through the Asian American lens.
你唔中意，唔接受，
都唔緊要。
因為呢個就係我。
When dealing with serious topics, it doesn't scream, "Look at me, I'm high art." Instead, it handles these serious issues with silliness and absurdity, but still with care to maintain the core of what makes these topics important to discuss. I remember walking out of the theater incredulous and reeling, at the same time thinking that no one else would enjoy it except for me and the very small audience. That's why it's so amazing to not only see it go on to receive critical and box office success, it became the highest grossing A24 film and won the damn Oscars, including Best Picture. I generally don't care much about award seasons, but I gotta admit, I'm super happy that the film has gained so much mainstream recognition, especially when it's so weird, so out there, and it goes so hard.
Sucked into a bagel.
So what did you guys think? Were you guys as incredulous at the success of the film? And were you as touched by it as I was? If you've enjoyed the video or the art, please leave a like and subscribe. Till next time, be good to one another and take care.